everyone, and we're live. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Sound Booth Theater Live. Oh, somebody's got their YouTube on.
Yeah.
Is it turning off? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's off. Sweet. Okay, yeah. My name is Justin Thomas James, and I am here with the marvelous Jeff Hayes and Annie Ellicott. They're waving. You can say hello too.
Yes, say hi.
Oh no.
Yeah, I've fashioned one at the last minute from construction paper.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's a very nice tie.
Thank you.
And then we've got Sin.
Hello. Vasquez, yeah. Well, that's part of my last name. My whole name is very long, so I just shorten it.
Will you give us a taste
of my full name?
Of your full name?
Okay. Sinova Dalton Vasquez.
Sinova Salta Vasquez.
Dalton Vasquez. I have a hyphenated last name, so yeah, it's long.
Okay.
They call me Sam. It's easier.
And of course, last but not least, we have the incomparable featured writer of the evening, Harmon Cooper. And we're here to talk about Harmon's latest book, just released, what was it, Friday or Thursday last week?
It would have been Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Cherry Blossom Girls number 2. If you haven't read number 1, you got to check that shit out. And if you have, you're in the right place.
And it'll be out of the erotica dungeon soon.
Yeah. Is it in the dungeon? Did they put that in the dungeon too?
That's
book 1 audiobook.
I think
book 1 audiobook is still in the dungeon.
Yeah,
what?
It's in the erotica dungeon. Yeah.
Are you seriously? Oh my gosh! What the heck?
Did they even listen to it? Did they even bother?
Oh no,
Definitely.
Six does not listen to.
That's what robots are for.
That's right. This sounds hot and scary. Oh, well, cool. Well, if you are here because of the dungeon, welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the first book. And let's see who's here. I'm going to pop on over to the YouTube chat and see who we got welcoming us.
Justin, something's going on with your mic.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Jeff, take over.
It's all staticky.
Okay, I will take over.
Hey, Jeff.
Okay. Yes, in the chat, we see Joshua. Oh, my God. I've never seen this guy before. I don't have my glasses on. Joshua Clockler. And Roman Johnson, who was with us last night.
Hello again, Roman.
Sound Booth Theater. Live. Yeah, and okay, so what are we doing for today? Like, what's our first objective?
Well, first objective is to make sure my mic is working. Did that do anything?
It wasn't doing that before, but then it started doing it.
Yeah.
It's doing it now.
A little while ago, yeah.
It is doing it now. Okay. It kind of comes and goes. Sometimes I go into a weird robot voice.
I suspect it's a cable.
It could be, yeah. I'll try unplugging a few more. Yeah. Just see who else is here and hang out, guys.
Okay. I'm gonna go get my glasses. Well, no, I shouldn't because I'm the only person that I can. Okay. Roman says he loves us, and so does Joshua. Thank you, guys. We're excited to get this one started because there's a lot of new characters, especially Dorian. Well, Dorian's not here to do Dorian, so we're gonna have to have Harmon do it.
Say what?
Most like Dorian out of everybody here. So I think he's probably the best fit. Yeah. Who else? Who are other new characters here?
Kim.
So new characters in
Mother.
this one. Wait, what?
Mother.
And Kim.
Yeah. Kim.
Mother.
Who else you got? Those are the 2 main new
This
ones.
is the main, yeah. Yeah, the main one.
Mother.
Okay.
Gas station attendant.
Gas station attendant number 1 or number 2? I think number 1 was in the first book.
There's the guys at the gun
I think
show.
there's only one in this one, I think.
Oh,
There are other side characters. No, the gun show, that was like the body armor guy and
maybe body
And
armor
maybe
guy
Leaf
is gonna
Guy.
come back as like the like Morgan Freeman to Christian Bale Batman type. Like just this like heavy accent Texan, like, oh, we got your new gear here. Well, why don't you try this on?
Lucius Fox. That was the character's name.
Lucius Fox, thank you very much.
Okay, so
That was good.
your mic is fine now, so don't touch it ever again.
I will never touch my mic again. I will stop. Now, we got a few people watching, but yeah, we're going to get started. And let's start with a scene. I think we should go. We're going to start with the Ken Kim scene where we introduce this new character. Now, do you want to tell us a little bit about the character, Harmon?
Yeah, so Ken Kim, he was one of the scientists that, along with another scientist who is now gone, named Bobby, named after our Bobby, who knows everyone, saw after Grace and was part of her experiments back at the Rose Lyle facility. And he's a kind of a mysterious character in this book. And I don't want to give anything away because, it's do we trust him? Do we not trust him? He's given Gideon information. He's given him some codes to try out on their drives. And it really is one of those situations where it's like, is this guy reaching out to me to help? Or is he actually working with them to try to get me? And so there's that. Gideon doesn't trust him through most of the book. Right. With good reason.
Yeah, I can't really trust anybody in his situation.
Yeah. Okay, so what chapter are we talking here?
This is, let me scroll up a little bit. This is chapter 2. Stranger Danger. And we're going to go down to, it's at location 223. It's kind of hard to, I wonder if I can just copy and paste. It's kind of tricky to do that in Kindle.
Oh, that Kindle's a pain in the butt to try to copy and paste. It copies all this extra stuff.
There we go. Yeah. You guys should be able to find that. Now, unfortunately, Lori was unable to join us today, but who would like to read Veronique's line?
Location 223?
No, it's here.
You got it?
Close to it.
So the line is, just as Veronique moved a few inches closer to me, so that our bodies now touched, my phone buzzed.
I'm wrong. Wait, tell me the name of the location again. Sorry.
So it is location 223, and chapter 2. It's after all of the pictures.
It depends how big their font is, though, too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
I can find location 223.
Boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you going to answer that?
Yeah. Who wants to play Veronique?
Annie, I don't think Grace is in this scene, so why don't you take Veronique?
Sure.
She does come later, but it's only a few lines.
Did she hear Laurie's rendition in the first book? Does she know how the voice goes?
Good.
Kind of harsh, not very warm.
Yeah. Okay.
You have an idea, Annie?
Sure.
All right. In that case, let's get started with a scene from Chapter 2 of Cherry Blossom Girls 2. Introducing Ken Kim. Here we go. Just as Veronique moved a few inches closer to me, so that our bodies now touched, my phone buzzed.
Oh, shit. Are you going to answer that?
Live, but I was no longer focused on the flirty way she asked the question. I was legitimately freaked out. No one had this number. Well, it was very flirty. When Luke and I spoke, We did so over Google Face, and he never called me, so I was unaware what the phone's ringtone even sounded like. It's an unknown number, I told her as I looked at the anonymous face icon flashing on my phone's screen.
Answer it,
she said. I took a deep breath and decided to go with Veronique's advice. Hello?
Please, do not hang up the phone.
A man said on the other end.
My name is Ken Kim. And I'm the scientist at the Rose Lyle facility who sent you the email. 2 emails. Do not worry. I'm not tracking this call or anything. I need to talk to you. I need to tell you what's to come. Your life and the lives of Subject S and Subject V are in danger. Please, do not hang up the phone.
You have 15 seconds, I told him as I turned my back to the balcony. My knees suddenly shaky, I sat down and crossed my legs. Veronique crouched next to me, her hand on my shin as I put Ken on speakerphone.
Again, my name is Ken Kim, Dr. Ken Kim, and I'm not your enemy, Gideon.
Yeah? How the hell am I supposed to know that?
For starters, I'm guessing you found the ports on both of their necks. Otherwise, you couldn't have done what you did back at the facility. Well, I'm the one who put all that information on their drives. I put it there with the hope that someone could possibly uncover and unravel a little bit of this mystery. Far-fetched at the time. But then, Grace got out.
It didn't add up. How could he have possibly known Grace would escape and that Veronique would come looking for us and later switch sides? It was too hard to believe, even for a fiction writer like myself. But there was something about the way he spoke that seemed genuine. You have 30 more seconds, I finally said.
Please believe me. I cared about Sabine. Has she told you her backstory by now?
Yeah, being kept in isolation all her life and escaping after tricking 2 scientists.
I was one of the scientists that interviewed her every day. My colleague, Bobby, was the one she used to escape. Sabine there. I'd love to talk to her.
You're never gonna get to talk to her again, I said with a growl. You can talk to me. You have 1 minute now.
I only have 1 minute, then I'll explain how I gained access to your phone number. I'm a bit of a hacker, which was why I was able to put all that information on their drives. The code Sabine gave you to access the drives, I gave her that code.
How? From what I recall, you were knocked out by the other scientist.
Before that.
He cleared his throat.
And yes, Bobby did knock me out. He's since been fired and disappeared. He's disappeared. I can't talk about that right now, though. And there's nothing we can do about it anyway. Ask her about it when you speak to her again. She'll tell you the truth.
I looked at Veronique, who quietly stood and walked back to the room. She turned seconds later with Grace, who locked eyes with me and instantly transferred what she knew into my brain. So, if you are the one who gave that code to her, what is that code?
1QAZ2WSX3EFV 4321QWEASD.
He said.
That's the access code.
Grace nodded. And how did you gain access to my number?
They're following your trail. They being Merck Secure and the federal government. Why aren't you sending encrypted emails? You know what they can track, right? You know they can track that, right? I mean, you've been wise to do some things like change cars and change rooms, but you give them a crumb every time you send an email.
I bit my lip. I had no idea if he was right, but it did seem possible. How'd you get my number then?
Remember when you bought a phone in Stamford?
Ken asked. Yes.
That's how I gained access to your info. You see, the analysts they've got on your case have gone about this the wrong way. Rather than check the employees at the OK Buy who had phones, they've gone after each and every phone number issued that day. But somehow, the way you and Sabine orchestrated it, the phone wasn't purchased through normal means, nor was it registered in a normal way. So I checked the employees and their phone numbers and narrowed it down to yours. And that's how I'm talking to you now.
Okay, makes sense. I'll be getting rid of this phone then.
It's not just the phone they're going to get you with. It's the emails you send from your laptop. That's how they found you in Stamford. If you didn't know, the FCG has a private corporation that pays for location-based data from Google Face. It's expensive, and they have to pay each time they access it. But we're talking about unlimited funds here. Funds given to them by the American taxpayer.
Your minute is drawing to a close, I said as I looked at Grace. She was crouched in front of me now, same as Veronique, both of them listening intently to what Dr. Ken Kim had to say. Grace's brow was furrowed, a look of concern in her blue eyes. The phone cut out for a second, and he continued.
What I'm trying to say is that every time you send an email, they're able to track you. If you stop sending emails or send them through an encryption app, you're fine. But as of right now, they know where you are and are coming. They're coming now, Gideon. You need to go.
I was panicked at that point. I just used my laptop not too long to email some readers. I was so screwed. We've got to go, I whispered to Grace and Veronique. They quickly stood and went to our room to begin packing.
I want to help you,
Ken said.
Please let me help you. I don't know how much longer they're going to let me live, but I want to help you. They'll come after me, just like they came after Bobby. I fucking know they will. I'm surprised they haven't already. I was there when Sabine escaped. One more thing. To prove my intent, I want to give you a code you can put into their systems that will improve their abilities.
A code?
That's right. Another code,
said Ken.
As you likely understand by now, you can modify their abilities to some degree. They don't level up per se, but there are ways to unlock abilities that were previously hidden. One of them is by entering codes into their drives. We didn't give them all these abilities at once. Not that they couldn't have figured them out on their own.
So they are arranged codes?
Yeah, something like that. But I have one for you. Do you have a pen?
Grace.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you a code in a second. Can you write it down for me in there? Okay, I'm ready, I told Ken. He rattled off a string of letters and numbers.
XFLT16689L147DDFBERV.
I repeated it back to him, thinking each number and letter as I said it aloud.
Got it.
Grace said inside my head.
Scroll to the bottom of the list of available options, and you'll see an input section. Put this code there. And yes, the same code works for both of them. Like I said, they could figure these abilities out on their own. They may have already done so, but this will speed up the process. We'll be in touch.
Thanks for the information. I hung up the phone and turned it off. And see. There you go.
How was that, Harmon?
Oh, I thought that was awesome. That works for Ken. Yeah, that's awesome. And he's always, I mean, you guys are going to use effects on him anyway, because when he isn't sending an email, he's, talking through the phone or something. So I like the urgency with it.
Mm-hmm.
Accent good? Everything's fine there?
I want to note too, aside from the voices, that we are working with a new format of scripts. I know that that's why you guys tune into Sound Booth Theater, because you want to hear about the scripts that the formatting that we use. But Sin was mentioning earlier, we're using a new format, and it's a lot easier to work with, especially with dialogue. Do you want to explain a little bit about the format we're using, Sin?
It's just, I just take the document and kind of explode it out into sort of like a screenplay format and separate the dialogue and highlight every actor's name for whatever character they're doing and put some spacing. Now that was suggested by Jeff, the extra spacing between the dialogue of different characters, just to make it easier to follow.
It's brilliant.
It reads, it reads kind of like a movie script.
Yeah, kind of, except it's got more of the narrative.
Oh, there's another way. Here, let's do it this way. Sorry, Sin, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. I think I was done.
Here, this is an example. You guys can see this.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I won't show you too much because I don't want to spoil anything.
Spoilers!
you got a glimpse of it. I also want to let everybody know that until he changes his passwords, the passwords that you heard in that clip are actually Harmon Cooper's passwords for all of his accounts. So go try those out.
Right away. Let me go find his thing.
Some hidden codes, and there are some hidden codes in there that, especially the code with T1. T1 is the Mongolian word for stupid is tinig, and the Mongolian word for one is neg. And so people will text each other T1, and it means tinig, which means stupid. So there are some abbreviations like
so
that.
It doesn't mean Terminator 2.
It doesn't mean Terminator 1. It means
Terminator 1. Yeah, it does mean Terminator 1.
Yeah, like people just like text each other this like tinig, T1, T1. And if you ever see it, it means like stupid. It's pretty funny.
Interesting. That's good to know. Thank you for that.
Yes, exactly.
I get someone sending me that at least once a day.
People keep sending me T1, so I had to figure it out while I was there.
I just want to touch base with the audience here. If you are watching, say hello. Say hello in the comments. If you are not watching, then there's no way that you can hear this. Yeah. So, feel free to say hello and ask us questions. We're here to.
Why aren't you watching?
Yeah, why aren't you watching right now?
What's wrong with you guys?
Is it a holiday?
It's got to be a holiday. Oh, right, April 24th. Yeah, big vegan holiday.
Is that that's the
You
day
know,
that
just
the
pulled that out of his butt.
The running of the chickens. Joshua Cloakler says, hello, Joshua. Good to see
Josh.
you. If you have any questions for Harmon or myself or Jeff or Annie or Sin, please feel free to post them.
Dave Wilmar said hi to Sin as well.
Oh,
What's
hi,
that?
Dave. Dave said hi.
Dave is
Hi,
here. Dave who?
Hi, Dave.
Wilmar.
Uh-oh.
Wilmarth.
That's the man with the plan.
He's a little he was a little shied away because there's a dress code.
He only wears pants on Monday.
Oh.
Pants only.
I'm not wearing any pants. I thought it was ties and no pants.
I think he's saying he only wears pants on Mondays.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
you
since it's
can't be
Tuesday,
in them.
It's an optional thing.
What about shants?
Shants? What is that? Oh, those are short pants. Aren't those capris?
You can makeshift tie out of a pair of pants.
You could.
You're all about makeshift ties. You should open a business.
Yeah.
Just have full of random objects
That I call ties.
Yes.
But her tie is covered up by the
Like this 90% dark chocolate tie.
It's like stapled to your collar. Just,
Say what?
there you go.
Guys, here's my whole tie.
there it is.
And in its full glory.
It matches with the dress so well.
Thank you.
Mine's a
It doubles as a 2D bowling pin. Well, I think it's time.
That's my kind of bowling pin. It's just like falls down on its own.
Very, very well balanced. You have to balance it very carefully. I do want to. I think it's time.
You've had me tied up for 30 minutes now.
I had that written down. That one was
Tied up for 30 minutes.
What's our next scene?
our next scene. So this is exciting. We're going to be introducing the brand new super that Harmon introduced into CBG2, and I kind of want to do the narration of the scene before we talk about what this superpower is, because it is pretty unique.
Is he clipping out for everyone?
Yeah, his mic is doing some weird stuff.
Again.
Blah.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep talking,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what the scene is in the chat.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. I'm talking.
What scene is it?
Scene from book 3 that I just edited.
I'm not a good listener.
Oh, that sounds fun. Mother is watching. That's creepy. Is it chapter 4? Dorian.
Still looking.
I don't have the document in front of me. Chapter
Anyone-
4, yeah.
Anyone watching the feed right now, Jeff and I just released Fantasy Online 3, so
It's just now come out.
it like just came out like 5 seconds ago. If you or 2 hours ago.
Richard Haygood says, "What? Wait, I have to have pants on to listen in."
It's a requirement.
I think it's a bad idea, guys. It's a bad business move.
They-
No.
We're all going out of business with pants.
If you can't watch YouTube in pants, what good is life? Am I still crackling?
Yes. Snap, crackle.
I don't know what the heck is going on with your mic.
71.
It sounds kind of scary.
We don't even. Are we supposed to be doing chapter 4?
That's just the chapter where Dorian shows up.
Okay, all right. Let's just use this mic. This is my
Oh,
one.
that's better.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
let's just do that. Screw my nice, fancy $500 mic. Let's. All right. Yeah, so it is going to be chapter 4, and let us go from. Yeah, let's just go from the top of chapter 4.
Cool.
You guys ready? You got it up?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. Chapter 4. Dorian Gray and the T-Rex made of energy. We stopped at a gas station at midnight, and I figured now would be a good time to switch vehicles. We found a man in a station wagon, gave him the keys to our truck, and transferred our things to the back of his car.
This one is not as nice.
Okay.
Veronique said as she got in the back. I waved her concerns away as I went inside the convenience store to get a cup of coffee. I nodded at the attendant behind the counter and glanced around in search of liquid crack. A punk rock-looking woman with jet black hair and deep red lipstick stood nearby, staring at me. She wore a leather jacket, tight black jean shorts over a pair of fishnet stockings, and black military boots. Her midriff was exposed below the short tank top she wore under her jacket, and I could see the swell of her breasts above the top. I nodded at her, looked away awkwardly, as I normally did when I saw hot women, and made a beeline for the coffee station. There weren't many options, and the coffee looked like it had been brewed 2 days ago, but what could I do? I filled up a 20-ounce cup, added a bit of hazelnut creamer just to give it some flavor, and took a sip of the lukewarm beverage. I sighed. It tasted like yesterday's McStarbucks warmed for 15 seconds in the microwave. I glanced back at the woman and noticed she was now holding a paintbrush. She was also staring at me in a strange way. She lifted the paintbrush to her lips, placing it in her mouth and holding it there for a moment, before taking it back out. As if she were conducting an invisible orchestra, the punk rock super began tracing an image in the air. Purple magic took shape as she moved her brush. The door swung open and Grace entered, surprise spreading across her face as she saw the woman.
Gideon, get down!
The woman lowered her paintbrush and a human-shaped form appeared, its body made of blistering purple energy. It charged at me with fists on fire. An invisible force moved me to safety just in time to miss its first strike. My coffee flying out of my hand in what felt like slow motion. As if they were on wheels, the aisle shelves thundered toward the woman with the paintbrush, the result of Grace's omnikinesis. Just before the shelves reached the woman, she disappeared in a flash. The gas station attendant stood up from his hiding spot behind the register, a shotgun in his hand.
I want you both to get the fuck.
The human made of purple energy slammed into the counter, exploding anything its body came into contact with. It continued forward, pressing through the counter, and even as the attendant fired his shotgun, it reached the man's body and exploded that too, spraying gobs of red goo everywhere. I nearly lost my barbecue pizza as a clump of human landed on my shoulder. I stumbled backward, where I was met by Grace. By this point, I was crouched down, my ears ringing from the weapon's report, my fingers covered in the man's blood, which I tried to wipe off on my shoulder. Veronique stepped into the gas station, her hands lifting into the air as screws and bolts from the shelving became projectile weapons. She was breathing heavily, hyper-aware as she scanned the area. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? I whispered to Grace, who stood next to me, her hand on my shoulder.
It's Dorian Gray.
I shook my head. I had read Oscar Wilde's book of the same name, so that was the first thing that came to me. Then my thoughts jumped from that to the clump of body matter on my shoulder, the body matter scattered all around me. The fact that we were in a gas station in the middle of nowhere and we'd been attacked by a human shape made entirely of flaming purple energy. My brain was running wild again.
We have to find her.
Veronique said. She looked like a southern badass in her cowgirl getup, her hands red with energy, screws and bolts buzzing around her like wasps. What are her abilities exactly? How do you know about her? I asked Grace, still catching my breath.
Later.
She assured me as she looked around, ready for another attack.
Come out, Dorian, and paint me a picture.
Veronique shouted, her hands clenching into fists.
Come out, Dorian, and paint me a picture.
Yeah!
Get it.
Can she paint anything into existence? I asked, connecting the dots. My answer came in the form of a T-Rex that chomped into the corner of the building, tearing a portion of the ceiling out and exploding all the lights and electric outlets. The charged T-Rex ripped more of the ceiling away, using a kick from its clawed leg to smash a wall. I wish I could say this was your normal T-Rex with little bitch arms, but no. This one had been customized to bring death to the three of us, and since that was the case, it had two huge weapons instead of arms, each with muzzles the size of beach volleyballs. And they could shoot. A searing blast tore over my head and went straight into the beer cooler nearby. The explosion that followed sent shards of glass into the air, accompanied by the sweet, sick stench of adult beverages. I was running by this point toward the back exit, trying to get my ass out of there before the T-Rex fired off another shot. Grace! Veronique! I cried.
I'm here, Ryder Gideon.
Grace wasn't far from me, covering her head as she ran. I turned just in time to see Veronique press her hands in front of her as if she were moving chi. Half the metal in the store scissored toward the T-Rex. Since our attacker was made of energy, the only thing those random chunks of metal could do was cause mini explosions all over its body as the projectiles attempted to pass through it. But that was better than nothing, and the T-Rex expended more and more energy as hunks of metal struck its form. Eventually, like the person made of energy, the Cretaceous abomination began to dissipate, no longer able to cause damage. Veronique was still in a battle-ready pose, more metal fluttering around her, just in case she needed to use it quickly. And that's where I think we'll end that scene. What the fuck?
Harmon, you look like you were frowning. What was that about? Is everything all right? With the
No, everything's good. It might be the lighting. I'm jacked.
Yeah, you're like frowning.
I look
like you're worried.
There's Dorian behind me.
He's getting really into the scene.
What was that, Andy?
He was just getting really into the scene.
That's what it was.
Oh yeah, it was intense, right?
Concentrating.
That's a frowning scene, I think. That's how I was when I read the book.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you guys read my stuff, like I just think of like, how could I have written that better? So sometimes I'm listening to it, and so it's weird. But I'm just listening to it like, it's going pretty well right now.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah.
I could only imagine. Yeah. Tell me about, or tell everybody, not just me. There's other people here too. Tell us about Dorian Gray and her superpower.
So Dorian Gray, I mean, she's just so fun to write, and she's prominent going forward. And her superpower is her saliva has energy that she can then paint into different types of objects. And this is explained more when he gets into her stats later, or her abilities later, how that works. But she can also teleport. And so she can, and there's issues with it. So people that like more game lit kind of upgrades will enjoy it as it goes along because similar to there's issues with her ability at the time that they first meet her. But anyways, she if you can imagine like her she uses a paintbrush, just kind of its style. She can use her finger too, but she puts it in her mouth and comes out and paints whatever she wants very quickly, and it becomes an actual thing that can fight for her. And then it usually dissipates not too long after.
But it can be anything. She can draw a T-Rex. She can draw a giant alligator with puppy limbs if she wanted. Like, it's just like she's only limited by her own imagination, right?
Yeah, and you know, she uses it in a more typical way too for like fireball type things. Right. Because in like a real combat situation, she's going quite fast sometimes. So spheres of energy. This, of course, is the introduction. I mean, come on, you've got to, you know, throw the T-Rex into the introduction. It's not always not you can pull that together, you know.
Well, I like especially the part about his little bitch arms.
Yeah.
He didn't have those little.
Yeah, he got Dave Wilmarth spitting out some of his health potion there with that line.
Ooh. But yeah, she's great. And then the teleportation stuff becomes more interesting going into book 3 as well. I mean, the thing about that I enjoy about writing this is as I create the characters and as I keep going forward with them, their abilities grow as I know them better and as Gideon knows them better. So he starts to think of like ways that they could use it that they haven't thought of their abilities. And, you know, no spoilers, but like ways that you could use telekinesis that isn't just or teleportation that isn't just like, hey, I can go from here to here. You know, like what other ways could you use it that would cause like a lot of destruction or would be beneficial to the group?
Yeah, I totally get that, and I've read most of the book, and I read into a lot of that creativity, and it is amazing the creativity that comes from Gideon, and it's fun to read. It's satisfying as a reader to see the main character exercising some of that creativity, and like these are amazing powers that should be used creatively rather.
And also he's so human that he comes back to like, wow, I should have thought of this before, or duh, or you know. And as readers, I can you know that the person's their abilities, like, you know, they should have done this, they could have done that, and he's playing it by ear. Like someone wrote in a review that it was very stream of consciousness, and it is that way because he is literally playing it by ear. Like what my readers who later will read Monster Hunt, it's a very different vibe because it's not this person just going like, oh, it's coming at me, I have to address it. Okay, something's happening, I have to fix it. You know.
Yeah. And I can definitely relate to how his brain works. But,
it's very manic.
Very manic. Just crazy thoughts all the time. The poor telepath having to deal with that all the time too.
Yeah, that would just drive me insane.
I'm curious, Annie, Jeff, that superpower. That's not a superpower that you see too often. I haven't seen that superpower yet. Being able to draw using your spit and create. What would you create? How would you use that power?
What would I create?
To throw you on the spot, a spit.
I would create a giant, and I mean like a gigantic piece, like an entire pepperoni pizza. I think.
Would you be able to eat it though? If it's
I thought that I was limited to only to my imagination.
You could draw a pizza, and it would be.
But I don't know that you could.
Something is going to attack people or something.
Well,
yeah. Well, I guess attack people.
If her creations have power to actually impact the real world, why wouldn't she be able to eat the pizza?
I would I would draw a really, really, really good swing dancer, and I would go out dancing with them.
That's amazing.
You have to keep drawing. Go on.
I would paint like the biggest, loudest bass amp.
Oh yeah.
Plug my bass into it.
And shoot like sound wave energy at them?
Fuck yes. You're like, boom! Blow up the building.
What would you paint, Justin?
I have no idea. I threw this at you guys, and I had nothing myself. I don't know. What would I paint? What would I?
Falcor.
What's that? Falcor?
From the Neverending Story.
Oh, Falcor.
Uh,
I imagine that the energy can't hurt her. Is that right?
No.
I haven't seen it affect her. No, okay. It's her own spit. She can. That's so Falcor.
I could ride Falcor.
She could figure out a way to ride Falcor. Maybe
Could
this.
be.
Maybe this is something that needs to happen. I don't know. Maybe this is where I say I won't do book 3. Falcor is in it. This seems like a good negotiations.
So I think you guys will find this interesting. The inspiration for Dorian is actually quite strange, and I'll try to make this as quick as I can because it's really weird. I studied the Tibetan language, and I lived with Tibetan monks in Nepal for a spell, and I encountered some pretty weird things. But during that time, I was really into like early 20th century, late 19th century British and French discoveries in Tibet, right? Mm-hmm. And there was this woman, this French author named Alexandra David Neal, who moved to Tibet in the 1920s and just pretty much ended up living there permanently and became a lama, if you can imagine that. She learned the language and everything. And she wrote this book called Magic and Mystery in Tibet. And it was really weird. And one of the things that she talked about is this Tibetan practice. Just imagine this. So you're trying to reach enlightenment, whatever, and you keep going up these different levels. And the final level was they would give you a picture of a Buddha, and they would say, okay, now you need to go into that cave and meditate until that Buddha becomes alive and is with you. And so people would do this. Monks would do this, and they would keep coming out. It's not working. And then someone would come out and it would actually work, and this thing is following them, this thing that they've created, according to this author. And she said that, she actually saw someone who had created something, and this entity was following them. And the weird thing about reading this stuff, it sounds like total bullshit. If you read the book, it's like 75% of it is like how the monastery is set up. Like it's very like boring and scientifically written. You would have to like get to page 310 or whatever to find out about like some of the weirder things that she experienced. Same with some of the British that were there as well. But anyway, that's where I got this idea, because they had this thing where people would go and meditate on a mandala or a Buddha, and they didn't do it correctly, and now it's following them, and they have to deal with it. And the whole story of it is, once you've created it and it follows you out, you go to your guru and you're like, look, I did it. Now what? And the guru would say, well, now you've learned everything I can teach you. And they're like, what? Look, I created it. What did I learn? It's like, reality is something you create. And so this book is an example of that. I mean, Sin saw it firsthand, where the whole concept of the first book is Gideon's writing this #1 hit, right? And then like the book actually becomes the #1 hit. And it continues to stay that way, And I really wanted to pour this into Dorian's ability to just like create these creations. And so that's where I got the inspiration for it.
That's really cool.
What was the woman's name again in the book?
Oh, Andy, this woman is amazing. Her name is Alexandra David Neal. But it's easier to find the book because it's a memorable title, Magic and Mystery in Tibet.
Okay.
It's a good book, but you gotta parse through it. Because like I said, like if you really want to know about like how Lhasa was set up in the 1900s, it's like, okay, this is how this room was set up. This is, and it's pretty boring. But then you got to the cool stuff.
I wonder why she goes into that much detail for it. Like, it seems like that core message is it's such a nice little nugget of wisdom, inspiring thought. It's interesting that she decided to she felt it necessary to describe all the rooms and how it actually looks.
Yeah, I think it was a legitimacy thing. I think like it was like, this is a serious book, and it's not just about like, look, some magic in Tibet. There's some other stuff in the book too that's pretty weird. Stuff that she didn't believe. Oh, that's the other. Oh my God. there's another part of this that's even crazier. She tried it. I remember now. She
Really?
tried it. She went to like this cave, and she did it for a couple months, and she created this little like kind of like, if you imagine like a very short monk, right? And so she got called away to the capital of Tibet, which is Lhasa, and it was following her. And so she kind of got freaked out because like she's going with this caravan. They don't have cars at the time. They're going by horse, and they're staying in yurts. And she would see it every now and then. And finally, some of the other monks actually saw it, and they're like, hey, you know, you were supposed to do something about that if you're not like going to take care of your creation. Weird.
That's insane.
How did she get rid of it?
They had to do like a puja, which is like it's kind of, you can think of it as like a seance type thing.
Okay. Oh.
But they had to get a higher lama to do it, you know, to like, you have to get rid of this thing because it's, but the other thing is, here's the weirder part about reality as well. The less she paid attention to it, the more it aged and the more it like started to kind of die off. And so there's this weird number of that as well.
That's really interesting. That reminds me of Psychology 101 and like even like just the nature of like, you know, anxiety or, you know, intrusive thoughts and stuff like that. How it just like the more you think about it, like it may not be true, but the more you think about it, the more it kind of becomes true. Yeah. That's an interesting concept. And so what's that called again? Give us the title again in case the viewers want to watch that or read it rather.
Yeah. Magic and Mystery in Tibet.
Magic and Mystery in Tibet.
Alexandra David
Neil.
Alexandra.
If you look on Wikipedia, they have the strangest picture of her. It's her when she's like quite young. She's like ghastly looking. It's quite a powerful picture. So everyone's like, at least they did years ago. Because up in a while.
Some funny remarks here. David wants to know if I painted your purple hat, Jeff. So advises me against eating purple pizza. Very strong warning.
Strong warning against purple pizza?
Yeah, it makes
or for it.
It makes you poop even faster than Taco Bell.
Really?
Helpful.
Wow, that's fast.
People say.
I want to. I think so. We've gone over Dorian, and Dorian's really cool. I do want to do a scene with Mother. Now, this would be. If we were to do this, we'd have to say like this is including spoilers.
Yes, spoiler.
Big spoilers.
But you knew she was joining.
What's that?
But you knew she was. She's on the cover. She has her paintbrush too. Did you see her paintbrush on the cover?
Not Dorian. Mother.
Oh, that's not a spoiler.
No, it's not a spoiler to do the
mother scene. At the end.
Is it a spoiler? I'm bad at judging if something's a spoiler or not.
It might be a spoiler. It might not be a spoiler. We'll start reading and then we'll be halfway through and be like, yeah, this is a spoiler. But if you're okay with that potential, then we're good.
Just do it.
Just put your fingers in your ears.
But before I do, okay, we will go to that. I see people are commenting in the chat. That's great. Say hello if you just joined us. I saw a couple people just join. Ask questions. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hey, we do this for fun and we do this for your enjoyment. So if you are enjoying it, then like it and subscribe for more things that you'll enjoy. It just makes sense. I would love to do the intro scene because that's like a perfect scene with like Mother and Angel together, and there's some funny shit in it. Yeah, okay. Maybe it doesn't have too much Angel in it, but
well, that's at the very. He comes in. Yeah.
Angel. People love Angel, so.
Should we do the scene with Angel? Should we? Maybe we do like a really long narration. Actually, it might not be that long. Mother is introduced in chapter whatever chapter page I'm on right now, 21. And
What page or chapter?
chapter 21.
Chapter 21.
Chapter 21. Ah, okay, yeah.
How you want mother done?
Boston accent. Boston.
Boston. I can't maintain a Boston accent. I struggle with that.
Mother, so who cares?
What was that, sorry?
I said you're not mother. Who cares?
True.
Who's barking?
Okay.
It's my dogs.
Oh.
That's just barking.
Does it's not a ringtone?
No.
Okay, yeah. So we are going to do a scene from the introduction of Mother. And why don't you
Go deal with my dogs.
we just jump into it?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go from location 3665. The line is I sat there a good 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So. 3665.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh wait, can we get a little bit of direction for mother? Real
Yeah, tell me about Mother.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So Mother, well, why don't we have Sin direct since she's back? Sin,
Yes.
Jeff and Annie would like to know about the character Mother. What can you tell them for the performance?
She's kind of, she exudes a lot of confidence and power. She doesn't seem to get very emotionally rattled. I
Right.
can't,
A little bit.
she only had
Okay.
she only had one line, in the first book.
Right. I remember her now.
It was very brief, yeah. But we didn't know anything about her at that time. We know more about her now.
Okay.
She's awful.
Yeah.
Know that much.
Do you picture a particular actor playing her?
No, I never. If you're talking to me, I never pictured any particular. I have like this vague, stereotypical image of her in my head. Maybe Harmon imagines. I'm gonna have to take this dog out. Maybe Harmon imagines. Oh Lord.
They're helping. They're helping.
I should return.
I'm just gonna mute Sin. Let her know that she's on mute when she gets back, in case she's wondering. It's not her; it's the dogs. What's that, Jeff?
I know Angel. Is he in the scene?
So Angel comes in. It's kind of tricky. I would love to get to Angel too. If we extend the scene a little bit longer into chapter 22, then we get lots of Angel.
Okay.
We just start with 22.
We can just start with 22 because there is some Mother in it, but not as much.
Let's concentrate more on Mother.
Yeah, let's do Mother, and then if there's time, we can go to the Angel scene. We don't have to do a whole Mother scene either.
Okay.
But we should also. I'd like to hear some ideas for Dorian's voice. I know. Without giving out spoilers, we could do that privately though.
We don't have Lori here.
That's true.
I didn't know who was playing Dorian, if it was Annie or Lori.
Yeah.
It's going to be Lori. It's going to be Lori but it's unfortunate that she's not here to go over voices.
Yeah, we'll make sure we'll
There's
do a
a
different
new one in book 3 and 4. So.
streaming it at some point.
What was that, Jeff?
I said we'll do a different hangout without streaming it.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
to get the spoken.
Let's go through Mother's lines because that's a voice that we'll want to tackle as well. How should we do this? Actually, this is going to be different because we have Sin who's taking on more of a directorial role. So should we just read through the scene, Sin, and then you jump in when you have a comment, or should we just go through the entire scene and then you make your comments afterwards?
Well, I don't know how much I consider myself really a director. Harmon's the main one. I just sort of, indicate in the script how I think a character would be saying something or whatever. So I don't know. Don't put that
Okay.
pressure on me.
Oh, no pressure, no pressure. How about we'll read a few lines and then we'll pause it after a line and then see if you guys have any suggestions before continuing.
Okay.
Okay, so
Gideon's super distressed. I mean, he's just been pulled out of a cell and is interrogated by this woman with like clicking high heels on the floor. Who's
high heels?
Yeah.
So I'll try to capture that. Okay.
I mean, he must be. I mean, I just try to picture how fucked. I mean, because you know the scenes that happen after it, like when he kind of starts daydreaming. He's so fucked. He knows he's fucked.
Totally. He's in a military facility.
Or it's a military facility that private military is using to imprison him. So
yeah. So he is okay. So my attitude should be royally fucked. Okay. I think I can work with that. All right, let's do it. I sat there a good 15 minutes, my thoughts lost in the black fabric covering my face, my shoulders hunched back slightly due to the way they'd cuffed me. The door opened, and I heard the click-clack of high heels.
You may remove his head covering,
A woman said.
and leave us alone.
The black bag was ripped off my head, and my eyes twitched as they adjusted to the light. Like my cell, the room was completely white with no features, aside from the table and 2 chairs in the center. But that was beside the point. The woman sitting before me was tall and thin, with brown hair, high cheekbones, and hazel eyes. A briefcase sat on the table between us. "Mother?" I asked, after the security guard exited the room. My throat was parched and clenched up as I spoke.
I see you are aware what they call me.
She crossed one leg over the other and shook her head.
I still can't believe you're the one who did it.
Did it?
Turned Grace. And somehow Veronique, too. I have to admit, I'm surprised someone like you would be able to do that.
Someone like me. She casually wiped her hands together.
You're nothing. You have no influence. You are a nobody. And you certainly don't have any special abilities. We've already discovered that. You don't have the propensity to be superpowered.
I bit my lip. I honestly didn't know what to say to her, and my only response at that moment was to yell for Grace in my head. "Grace, Grace, please hear me."
Grace is not listening.
Mother said in my head. I gasped. "You have the same powers." Then I remembered Veronique saying something about this. I soon found out she'd also been right about Mother's other powers. So why don't we take a stop there? Do you guys have any suggestions for how we should be voicing this scene?
I think it sounds good. I like the way
I like
she did
that.
Mother.
I think Mother should. I like that it kind of almost mirrors. It has like a shade of Veronique to it, so that's cool.
Mhm.
Harsh. Yeah, and then I thought that was cool.
Sweet.
So I'm cool with that.
That is good then. Why don't we?
I think the edges could be smooth just a little bit. That's about
The
it.
edges could be smoothed.
Yeah, just as far as like the shape of the words, you know, the shape of the delivery. But other than that, I think she's doing a good job with the voice and the presence, the attitude.
Perfect. It's fun to watch you perform, Annie. Your face just becomes.
I can't see it. I only see Jim.
Really?
Oh, it pops up when they speak. If you click on their faces, you'll be able to see
Well,
them.
we just we just changed the view a little bit, so maybe that will help.
Better now.
All right, are you able to see Annie better, Harmon?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I was just seeing her shoulder, so I was like,
Oh,
cool.
I
The
think
talking shoulder.
There must be different parameters for different.
yeah,
because I can see you both.
yeah. If
Oh, I'm on phone, so that's probably why.
yeah. Plus our screen, like when we look at our screen in
It's bigger.
Hangout,
It's bigger
it's
than everybody
it's wider than everybody else's, probably just because it's ours.
Oh, word.
Well, mine is too, I think.
I think that's just whoever.
Yeah, mine. I think whoever you are, your screen is bigger.
Whoever you are, your
I mean-
screen is bigger.
I mean, like, I bet, Justin, if you look at yours,
Yeah.
yours is probably a big rectangle too.
I got the same thing.
Yeah.
Coolio. Well, hey, Mother is voiced. Let's do more. Boop, 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 boop,
Go with
boop,
the same
boop.
scene or then go on the Angel plus Mother.
Why don't we skip ahead? Let's do Angel plus Mother, because
Oh, God.
that'll be fun. So
Yeah, that's
basically,
fine.
Just looked at the name
Chapter
of chapter 22.
incest is bad.
what did you say, Sin? What? Oh, that's the name of the chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just start hot off the top. Just to summarize just the end of chapter 21 there. Actually, no, I don't need to summarize it. You'll figure it out. Or you won't, and then you'll
It kind
pick
of
up the
speaks
book
for
because you'll
itself.
be dying to know. What was that, Sin?
I said it kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Chapter 22. Incest is best? You start
Moving
us.
along. Okay.
You're alone.
Okay. He's being difficult.
She told Angel as he approached. She placed a hand on his cheek, and Angel moved in to kiss her. It was a long kiss, a fucking gross and sloppy movie kiss, and by the end of it, I was left wondering what the shit was going on. And that was when Bad Boy Gideon decided to return. I didn't know what it was about Angel that triggered the ballsy version of myself, but my mouth came unhinged pretty quickly. So that's what's wrong with you. That's what went wrong with you, I told the scar-faced fucker.
Come again.
He asked as Mother stepped aside. You're her offspring. Lab-grown, sure, but you're related to her. Mother, oh,
Did you miss it?
yeah, I think I spoke over it.
Yes.
Mother shook her head.
You wouldn't understand my relationship, nor my fascination with Angel.
I laughed. Maybe, but I know the definition of incest, and now I know the definition of motherfucker. Angel dropped his hand to Mother's ass and patted it.
Should I handle him for a bit?
She smiled.
Sure, but don't kill him yet. I still need to deal with his little self-publishing empire. Keep his face intact and don't beat up his face too much. That's gruesome.
She left the room, heels clacking against the floor as she walked away. Just the sound of that pissed me off. Angel turned to me and cracked his knuckles. I glared at him, still not sure where my sudden confidence was coming from, but running with it.
I have to admit, Gideon,
He said, walking over to the table.
you've made it much further than I thought you would.
He placed a single hand under the table and flipped it up, smacking me in the face. My nose gushed blood, and before I could try to wipe it on my sleeve, he grabbed the chain linking me to the floor and broke it in half. Then he gripped the back of my chair and threw me into the wall. The impact knocked the wind out of me, and my chin hit the floor as the chair skidded out from under me.
Hang on, Gideon.
I didn't know if the voice was Grace's or mine. I was too shaken up, especially when Angel wrapped one arm under mine and tossed me up to the ceiling. I didn't break, though. I didn't break through or anything, but fuck. If cracking my head on the hard surface didn't rattle my brain.
More?
He asked when I crashed back down. Wheezing now, I still wasn't able to get a full breath in. My body ached, and my nose continued gushing blood. I spit some of it out, a graffiti splatter of crimson.
Are you ready to help Mother? Or should I continue?
You still call her mother even though you're fucking her? I considered that for a moment. America once had a vice president who did that. Okay,
I forgot to Wikipedia that. I never figured out who that was.
Yeah, let's pause. Actually, I'm curious about this too.
I meant to look it up and I forgot.
Could we get a,
No.
It's Mike Pence. He calls his wife mother.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'm Canadian. Really I don't feel it.
Okay. All right. I thought there really was, Donald. That's
joke, like
Carmen.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you for that sidebar. Let's keep going. This is fun. America once had a vice president who did that. Okay, that's okay, I guess. I wiped more blood on my sleeve.
You don't know when to shut up, do you?
He put his foot on my throat.
Last chance.
That's enough, Angel.
Mother said, re-entering the room.
We'll have to work on Grace before we work on him. She's the one preventing me from going any further.
Are you sure I can't do it?
Oh, he asked, his foot pressing harder into my neck.
That's a primitive way to kill him, darling.
She moved over to us and took his hand. Angel removed his foot and stepped beside her, wrapping an arm around her waist.
I promise you will be the one to kill him. But not before I get the information I need. Think of a better way, though. Something that will last longer and hurt more. That is too quick.
You two are some sick fucks, I whispered, the blood dripping from my nose. Mother turned to me.
He's good with the insults, but not much else.
She walked over to the door and knocked on it twice.
To be continued,
she told me as the mustached merc entered the room with a black bag. He moved over to me, sat me up, and shoved it over my face. And that's a good point.
Hot.
Annie, there was one line that I thought you like. I really liked. I really loved. It was "That's enough, Angel." That was like it really rang nicely. Yeah, with her personality.
Yeah. Well, it was nice because she timed it right too.
It was well timed. Yeah. Felt like I was there. I feel like I'm there right now. Poor Gideon.
Poor Gideon.
So I think that's enough. I think you guys have seen enough of this book. I think over.
It's gonna sell itself.
You're gonna buy it.
The book is selling itself.
There's
if you're watching this right now, you might get the book.
T-Rexes, man, you really know how to.
Yeah.
I've used like my cool stuff now. The rest of the books are just Gideon talking about writing.
Okay, actually, so I do have this as a discussion point. I want to talk to you about Gideon's view on writing, and this is something that if you've read the first book, you know a little bit about Gideon's relationship with writing, but there are a lot of really, I guess, fun little lines, fun, cute, witty lines about writers, but that doesn't paint it. You don't paint writing, or Gideon doesn't paint writing as a very glamorous profession. And I'll just read a line here. Let me see here. Besides, any writer will tell you that what they do is a sickness. Writing is an incredible malaise that sweeps over you, a flaming carrot on a stick, a tree falling in a forest that no one hears but your demented ass.
Yeah.
Hopefully, whatever your sickness is becomes contagious. I really like that line. Now, how much of this is Gideon and how much of this is Harmon?
It's actually a lot of Gideon, and I'm a big believer now in just trying to channel my characters. This book, as some of you know, I've written mostly a speech to text. because I want it to be kind of stream of consciousness style. And so, yeah, it's maybe I've felt that way before, but it's a lot of how he views it. I mean, I see these things, and I've read a lot of books on writing, and a lot of writers mention it kind of as a sickness. And my wife would probably tell you it's a sickness, because I'm at 6:30 trying to beat myself up, like, oh, you can write 500 words before 7:15, and then I don't. And then I'm like kind of in a bad mood. I'm like, well, I didn't do it, and then later I'm doing it, and I'm like writing during lunch, and then it's kind of like something like that, and you just kind of get obsessed with continuing it. And I don't even, in the flaming carrot, it's like yeah, you're trying to reach this carrot, but it's also trying to burn you at the same time. So take a break, everybody. I'm going to next week. I'm going to Chicago. So.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Writers conference. Yeah. So.
That's not a break.
That's not a break.
I know, right?
Actually, a break for me is my wife shopping in the Magnificent Mile while I sit at a Starbucks and write. That works for me. So
that works for you. You find it relaxing.
Yeah. So anyways, with Gideon's writing stuff, I really want to obviously, and there have been comments like, this is a book for writers, or I mean, he's such a loser, or my favorite review was a terrible book by a terrible writer about a terrible writer. And I love that, because I love this review though, because the thing is, like, if you've read some of the other things I've written, there's books that I've spent a year just developing the voice for the book, right? And working so hard to make just create this craft, and it really does is something that Gideon goes through, and so I like that review, because he's supposed to be kind of terrible. He's trying to do this thing that all of us indies do, which is write our asses off, just publish as quickly as we can. I mean, you think of how many books I've published this year. You got George R.R. Martin, I'm going to write 500 words this week, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a complete, but in mad respect to him, it's a complete different, it's like we're constantly having to channel these things and push them out, especially the guys that are publishing monthly. So he's trying to be those guys. He's read all their books. It's 2030. So these guys have all come and gone, and he's trying to emulate those things. And so, I mean, to him, his biggest hope would be how heavy this axe to be a success about a transgender dwarf that comes back and realizes no one likes him, her anyway. And so
which is an interesting concept, and it's funny too that that book does come back. It's mentioned in the first book, but it does come back, and he does think about it at maybe inappropriate times. He's thinking about how heavy this axe. You'll have to find out when that is when you read the book. You mentioned Starbucks as well. How long do you think it's going to be before it turns into mixed Starbucks?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a good one. A lot of the company conglomerates I've used in all my books. So I just have continued using them. And some people have been offended by that, which I found funny. The thing about this book is, and I think this is great. It's been so successful that normally maybe people would have said shit about that, but my book was never successful enough for someone to actually bring that up as a point. Well, I don't really like the companies, It's okay. I think it's great though. I mean, I worked at Starbucks for 3 years, so yeah.
What I think is great is that most of them are these big conglomerations like McStarbucks and eBay-Amazon, but it's 75% of the way through, IKEA is mentioned, and IKEA is still just IKEA.
Right? IKEA.
That's hilarious.
There's a reason. It's because it's Swedish. I worked with a Swede for a while. They're very content with what they have. It's never going to be a conglomerate. That's the reason why it's everything is perfect here, and we have a very big growing business across the world. Why would we join? Why would
we change that? Let's keep it steady as it goes. That's so funny. So that was a conscious decision.
I have one that's funny though. I had a longtime fan contact me and say, "Hey, you used the Marriott. Why isn't that a conglomerate?" They were calling me out for not making it a conglomerate.
Shit, the Marriott Radisson.
I should have. It just didn't, come together.
The Radiot. If you're looking for a term for this, because this is kind of your thing, I haven't seen another author do this. You could call it harmonization.
Harmonizing.
Mm-hmm. If I can harmonize these two companies, it's like it works on different levels. It's like
Wall Macy's. I've done my newest one was Crunk and Cronuts though, because now that I moved to the Northeast and like Dunkin' Donuts is everywhere. Oh my God. Like in the South, it's like whatever, there's one Dunkin' Donuts in the city. Here, it's like Starbucks here. So it's from this region. So I had to like spoof it.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to Dunkin' Donuts. So, and I never used to go before, but it's everywhere.
You got to get Luke to name some Canadian conglomerates. Tim Hortons, and I can't think of another Canadian company.
They end up in Canada?
What's that?
Did they end up in Canada to meet Luke or something?
That's a good question.
Not in this book, but I will say this, like, I can't describe how meta Luke's involvement is. Luke basically decided what the third book's cover and the fourth book's cover are going to be. I was telling him, like, I have to think of an idea. And he's like, how about this? And I'm like, that's so lewd. Like, where are you getting these ideas? Like, you write, like, type books. And so he's kind of like this little devil on my shoulder that's like, try this idea.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, Luke, the Luke that Harmon is referring to right now, is an actual writer. And the character in the book is based on an actual writer.
They need to go up to Canada.
Yeah, come on up. We'll have you out here.
We'll have you out.
We're gonna take a skiing, eh?
You're gonna show up.
I'm gonna show up. Yeah, actually, I believe that we don't need to start getting into like specific addresses, but I believe I used to live, well, in the same region as Luke.
I
think so.
Yeah.
Is he in Calgary or Ontario?
I think he's in Burlington.
Burlington, yeah, that's pretty close to where I was. I was in Pickering, for anybody who wanted to know. Everybody was wondering, where's Justin Thomas James? Where did he used to live? That's why people tuned into this.
Well, it's important to know because in book 4, they're going to Canada to meet Luke, and they need to kidnap somebody, right? And it turns out that there is this really rich, super tall black dude that they find in one of the malls or something,
yep.
And they take him hostage, and it turns out he's like this super successful narrator.
Yep.
And
it's funny because I never go to malls. It'll be funny in the book because like I'll be like, I never go to malls. The one time I go to malls, I get kidnapped by supers.
I'm actually going to talk about narrators in the fourth book. So, yeah.
I told you.
Basically, he has to get the set together first that he mentioned in the second book. So, I think it would be so funny if in the fourth book he's listening to the narration of his book, just book like
he has like send back comments and stuff, and he's doing like Sound Booth Theater Live episodes. Sound Booth Podium books, Sound Booth Podium Live.
So he's going to be doing something like that. I'm 100% sure.
Oh,
I mean, I couldn't believe people actually like to hear about writers because. So yeah, I was a little shocked, like it's kind of shitty.
Writers are shitty.
Well, I mean, like, we're kind of all self-obsessed because it takes so long to do what we do, and so they all have like this self-obsession. Like, I mean, like I feel like I don't talk to anybody about my writing except like the people that know me through, my friends on Facebook, and like I mean, I'm telling Jeff something about my writing every day that has nothing to do with anything. Like, oh hey, I talked to Ina today. He's like, thumbs up, like.
Jeff's the notorious thumb up.
And so, yeah, that's what I mean by shitty. But shitty good,
Yeah, totally.
Shitty good.
I would like to move on to the final portion of the show, which is just a little plug bag, part of the show where we just talk about things that are coming and happen. Now, Harmon already used his plug.
Oh, damn.
But we're going to give you another plug, Harmon, if you want to, just because we like you.
Jeff and Annie could do that plug. They know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Jeff and Annie, you're taking Harmon's plug. What's your plug?
Right now, we are working on Monster Hunt New York City. We are ridiculously excited about this. Last night, we made leaps and bounds progress as far as music is concerned, and I think mid-May is when we're getting into the studio to start recording that. We are working on the actual narration stuff right now. We were actually working on that right before we jumped on here. Today.
You actually started recording
music? We have not started recording. We had a great session last night, just writing music for the lyrics. I don't know how much everybody knows about this because I'm not always on this program, but there are going to be original songs in this, and Harmon has written the lyrics, and Jeff and I are writing the music, essentially. Harmon's has sent us some melodies as well. And then we are also composing some background music and walking music and fighting music.
Battle music.
Battle music. So yeah, it's going to be a musical book with original content.
What is walking music?
Well, just like they're walking their own music, you know.
Okay.
Really jazzy, New Yorky walking down the bass lines. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a professional singer. I got into voice acting recently, but my entire career, my whole adult life, I've actually been a musician. So this is really fun. And Jeff went to music school. So we are stoked.
You guys, I think you have some examples of your singing online on the internet somewhere, right, Annie?
Yeah, I've got a lot of YouTube videos.
You can also just check out annieellicott.com.
Yeah, you can go to annieellicott.com, see some videos there, listen to my album and purchase.
Yes.
And look at my tour dates. I'm headed to New Orleans after this.
Narlands.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Sid, did you have anything that you wanted to plug?
No, nothing to plug.
Nothing to plug? Sid's dogs, everybody.
I don't do anything except work on this stuff. I don't do audiobooks much anymore myself. So.
No.
What about my dogs?
You look after your cute dogs. How many dogs do you have?
Are you selling any of your dogs?
No, I have 4 dogs.
You have 4 dogs.
4 dogs.
Dogs.
We only used to have 3, but one of them tragically passed away.
Oh,
and so then we got 2 more after that. So now we have 4.
Well,
but my dogs are quiet now. Whatever you're hearing has to be loud.
No, I'm not hearing dogs right now.
Okay,
I wanted to.
They're being good right now.
I just wanted to plug. I just wanted to.
I'm always putting
this
pictures
opportunity
of them.
to tell people of your dogs. Yeah, send
pictures of my dogs.
You have a Twitter account?
When I do what? Yes, I do. Syndavaz. CYNDAVAZ.
At twitter.com or at Twitter.
Well, it's at
whatever.
Syndavaz. Yeah.
How does Twitter work? What is this thing? So follow Sid and see pictures of her dog.
When I'm working, I put pictures of my dogs sitting on my lap. They're so cute.
I won't use my cat as my plug, but I have a cat who joins me in the recording booth sometimes.
Aww.
But she loves to scratch the inside of it. She thinks it's just a giant internal scratching post. So we've had issues over that.
Plugs anyway.
No.
What's that?
Do what?
Nothing.
Jeff probably said something dirty. I'm not sure what he said.
Does he not like cats?
Oh.
Said something about gerbils. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh,
Was that how did that Tide Pod story go, Jeff? How did that is that still ringing subconsciously?
That's still on YouTube if you guys will pick it up.
I wouldn't recommend it. I haven't looked it up. I'm afraid. I would just like to plug. Oh, you know what? This is kind of a lame plug, I guess, because we're talking about Cherry Blossom Girls. But check out the first book. If you haven't read the first Cherry Blossom Girls, check that shit out. It's a fun book and fun take on superheroes. And then that means if you read that book, then you can read this book.
but not just read. They need to listen to the audiobook too.
That's true. Read with your ears.
Yes, exactly.
Here's
It's the best way to read.
my favorite read, which makes it ironic that I'm an audiobook actor, because now like I have to like create the audiobook, so I have to actually read the guide.
You have to read and hear yourself reading with your ears. It's just,
Joe Pebbles, he's like, what's with the ties?
what is with? Why not,
Ties?
Joe? Oh, there's a good plug. Joe Hempel just released his very first published audiobook that he published. Like, he's the publisher. I narrated it, and it is by Michael Hicks, and it's a little short horror story, short horror novella called Broken Shells, and it just came out on Audible yesterday, I think. So check that out. Check that out. It was a fun project. Fantastic author. Really enjoyed narrating it. But that's it. That's it from me. I did 2 plugs technically, so I'm sorry I went over my quota. But I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Annie, for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining us. Thank you, Sin, for lending your ear and advice and ideas. And of course, Harmon Cooper, thank you for writing books.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And thank you all for joining us. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, my name is Justin Thomas James, and bye-bye.
Adios.
Adios.